Okay, Harry, you gotta give me more notice. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to LoveBabz, LoveTalk. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. That was Tevin Campbell. Do you know there's a Tevin Campbell challenge? Celebrities, black ass celebrities, or famous black folks, black famous folks, because white folks don't be knowing Eric Benet and Tank and all those folks. So anyway, they got this Tevin Campbell challenge, and you sing this. I'm not gonna do it. Welcome to LoveBabz, LoveTalk. On Babz Rawls-Ivy. Happy I don't know, Tuesday morning. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday in the Elm. It's Tuesday. Not to be confused with Monday or Wednesday. It's Tuesday. So I'm up and about doing my thing. So I got up this morning with a different mindset. I got something else on my mind. So I've got to do some things a little different starting today. And which is quite timely. Quite timely. So let me just say this. I just got news that our dear friend and favorite Bennett Bell, Lindsley Gay, is in the hospital. She had a tumor in her head. I don't know if this is public information, but I'm making it public because I want a whole community of prayer warriors to send prayers her way. That's what I want. So if anybody knows the word of prayer, and some of y'all do, and if you don't, open your mouths today and put some words into the universe for our favorite Bennett Bell, Lindsley Gay. All right? So I'm just saying, you ain't got nothing else to do, say a prayer. In passing, keep it moving. I don't need people to be tarrying in the upper rooms. I just need you to, hey, dear God, look out for our favorite Bennett Bell, Lindsley Gay. That's the prayer. May she gets healing and restorative healing and back amongst us, cutting up and showing out as soon as possible. That's what I want. All right. So that's where we are. Anyway, can I just tell you, my children are annoying as hell. But all children are, right? And they're not even children, they're just grown-ups. They're annoying grown-ups now. Oh, I just cannot take them. It's just, oh my God. I'm trying to remember if I was just this flaky when I was their age. Probably. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to spend my time talking about them. I just wanted to say that out in the open. That's all. I just wanted to say my kids are annoying grown-ups. This has nothing to do with love or anything. It just means they are annoying. Oh, yay. The housing authority is going to buy the ex-Church Street South site for $21 million. Okay, they're gonna go with that. So housing authorities Karen DeBose Walton and Northland's Larry Gottsdowner, the city's public housing authority, has reached an agreement with the Massachusetts-based owners of the former Church Street South site to purchase the vacant expanse across from Union Station and build it up into a new mixed income housing complex. Now, before people get their lips all torn up, I don't know anybody else who is interested in public housing or creating housing for poor people. Harry, I don't know. The one on the bottom creeps me out, Harry. I don't. I don't know. The one on the bottom is giving me slavery narratives. I don't. let's go with the one on top. I'm gonna go with. The one on the bottom just gives me the creeps. I don't know. Top. I don't listen. I look like Sally Hemings to George Washington. I mean to what's his face? I'm not feeling that one too much. I'm not feeling that. So anyway, this is an inside conversation I had with my producer, Harry, about a photo that I think he took great joy in creating. Ah! I just don't know what to do. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Um, anyway, I'm just gonna do my own thing. I just have to I need some I need a vacation. But Thanksgiving is coming, so we'll have some time off and it'll be fine. You know how you just have a moment where you're just like, I've been doing too much. And I think it's only because, I'm like up to my ears in law school applications. So it's a lot. And I got through some last night. 67% of each application is about done. So the only thing that's left is the stuff that you have to write. And I'm quite challenged by that. Not because I can't do it, it's because it's just the commitment of time. So I'm spending all my time doing that. So that's where we are. So uh you know. Anyway, here we go. Uh anyway. Well, because people don't want to concentrate low income because we've already done concentrations. I just, you know, I when I go to New Haven Independent and I see these comments, and I think people just be saying stuff without any real thought to what they are saying. They just be popping off, and I love this Obama phrase. They just be popping off at the mouth. Do you know why they're not going to make all of that low? Because nobody wants to see a concentration of low income housing ever again. Because that does not work. We've seen that model over and over and over and over again. So we have to be much more progressive. You know what works? Mixed income and mixed use projects work better. Damn. And I don't have time. I don't have enough time to explain why this doesn't work. But if you go spend some time reading, there's a couple of books out there to talk about this. There's a couple of white papers out there. You could just do a whole search, talk about why, that kind of stuff failed. Now, I will say this, what bothers me on a lot of levels, when they say the concentration of poor people is problematic. And it is, because the concentration of poor people, it comes with a whole lot of other issues that affluence and middle class people don't have. So and that's the heart of the things that we have to talk about. Those are the things that we don't want to talk about. It's not simply just housing. Of course, they could build housing just for low income people, but we've done that, calling them housing projects. We've done that, and it didn't bode well. And then everybody was whining about why the concentration. I mean, Monterey Place is a good example of mixed income, mixed use, and a tightly run ship, right? Because that's what you have to have. You got to have that. Anyway, I'm interested in, if there could be room for some tiny house commitment, some tiny house conversation in this land deal, right? In this, so that we can begin the conversations of really housing the homeless folks, right? Like that to me would be worth having the conversation. That's all. But yet again, if we had some leadership in this city, you know, beyond the housing authority, then we could broach these conversations, and they could be part of the larger conversation. Like, hey, while we are looking at mixed income, mixed use projects, developments, let's also pilot tiny house projects in this whole structure, right? I'm not talking like a gazillion of them, but enough to sort of say, let's give this a shot and see how this works. And then we could court other developers of tiny house, for homeless folks. That's the kind of creativity that I'd like to see. Oh, my bones are just weary thinking about all these things. But the good thing is I have a platform, so I can talk all the stuff that I want to talk. So somebody is listening to me somewhere, and they'll take this and run with it, or they'll have a larger conversation somewhere, or somebody will be like, oh, she shouldn't even whatever. But I would suffice to say that I think this is a good idea. High five, Housing Authority. You know why? Because they're the only ones that are tasked with providing low, moderate income housing. Nobody else is. There's nobody else. You're not going to get developers to come in here and say, I'm going to build low income housing because I could make some money. That is not at the heart of business. We want people to be altruistic in ways that they're not going to be altruistic. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do it. It's not. So we have to, and listen, I don't even want to get into a philosophical conversation about why won't they do it? Couldn't they do it? Listen, I'm of the mindset that we can do anything. We could do anything. But in doing anything, we have to be clear. So I mean, I think there's all kinds of things that you could do in city government that how we say if you're a police officer, well, I don't know if we say that, but other places say if you are on the police force, you have to work in the city that you are policing, or if you're a firefighter, you have to work in the community that you're firefighting. I mean, places say that all the time. I mean, when I was in grad school many moons ago, I was working for the Giuliani administration, and they wanted to hire me, but they didn't hire me because they had a clause in their employment policies that said if you want to work for the city, you have to live in the city. I didn't live in the city. I lived in Connecticut, so I would have to commute in. And they were like, could you move to New York? And my then husband was like, we just bought a house. We can't move. We're not moving to New York. And he's a New Yorker. So we could do anything. I mean, we could say anything. We could do anything. We could legislate anything. We could put all kinds of policies in place to do any number of things. But it requires creative leadership and an imaginative team of folks who can take these big ticket dreams and create a pathway to reality to making it happen. Now, we don't have that in New Haven. So while we don't have that, I mean, we got a whole mayor who was like, oh, bulldoze the damn homeless camp. I'm not their mayor. They didn't vote. I'm just paraphrasing. I don't know if he said, I'm not their mayor. That's just the opposite of what I was saying the other day, that I wished he would have went over there with a tent and some cooking utensils and pitched a tent with those folks and said, you know what? I'm your mayor too. And because I'm your mayor, I'm gonna be right beside you, helping to cure this homelessness. I mean, come on. But no, he's the mayor of I don't know what to do, so I do the most stupidest thing. Anyway, whatever. What else to say? It'll be what it'll be. I got bigger fish to fry. God knows. I do. Anyway, that's the world in what I live in. So, uh, I mean, listen, just yesterday I was lamenting, why don't they sell hot dogs at the beer hall at East Rock Brewing? They need to sell damn hot dogs. This is just personal. They probably like, hot dogs, Babz. That means we have to have all this stuff. No, you just need a refrigerator. And when when you go to the sporting events, they have hot dog makers. You know, the kind that rotate or the kind you put flat. Don't brush them with butter though, because I won't be able to eat them. We have a cop shortage. You know what? I don't even. Shh. Let's go mind my business. I done had enough. 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 I just got. You know what? I'll be over here. I'll be over here on the radio. I'll be over here. I'll be over here and get some light. I'm gonna sit over here and get some light and some love and just be, minding my business. I hope everybody had a good Veterans Day. Hope people had a good Veterans Day. I hope. That is my hope. A good Veterans Day. Because it's good to remember veterans, but it's also good to remember the reality of veterans. I don't think we treat veterans well in this country, and particularly not veterans of color. Fight me if you want. I don't, talk to me about it. What you know about it? I just feel like we just don't. And let me tell you how I know this, because people are starting to feel like they don't want to go into the military. They don't want to go into the military because they're starting to understand that it's not a good option. You don't get much for serving. And the military acts as though, like people are out of pocket asking for basic things. If we have people in the military serving this country, ready to fight, lay down their lives voluntarily, then they should be well compensated. There should not be any hassles with insurance. They should be able to live where they want to live and pay, buy housing or pay rent that is within their means. I just don't. Otherwise, I don't understand anything. I don't understand what would be the benefit of going into the military. When I was a young woman, people used to go into the military because it was a way to get out of communities that were impoverished, that it was a way that people could get education, and it was a way that people could see the world, and it was a way that people could support themselves and make a good living. I don't know when all that shifted. I just don't know. I don't know when that shifted, but it just I was reading something the other day that says the recruiting numbers are down, and I don't know why they don't I don't know why they don't advocate for better resources. And I know the military budget is probably the largest budget, it's just daunting to me. It's just so many things that don't make sense. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. And yet we don't, it's not enough. And there are people on the ground, don't get me wrong, there are people on the ground who are pushing back on a lot of narratives in a lot of directions, whether it's, benefits for veterans. I watched the comedian guy, what is his name? The white guy. he has been championing the causes of vets and very specific vets, the ones that are suffering. Oh no, John Stewart is championing the 9/11 first responders. Because how America does, out of sight, out of mind. The initial, at the beginning of 9/11, the first weeks, we couldn't do enough for first responders. We would have given them the shirts off our backs when we knew. And then as time goes by, we act as though we don't owe them something. And people who freaking ran into a building that was hit by terrorists. And these people are still begging for, coverage and money and access. And why? See, I think this is a lamenting Tuesday. I think this is a lamenting Tuesday because I have so many things that are just irritating me to no end. And, to no end, just no end. So, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And that's my default. And when I say that, just means we won't. And we'll just move on to the next, whatever it is. We'll move on to the next, whatever it is. And we'll go on to the next, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? So, it's a lot going on. So if you get a chance, go over to the if you want some news that is important to Black people, go on over to the innercitynews.com site, and the digital paper is embedded so you can see it. But if you want to know what's going on that affects Black people, pick it up. And we put a mashup of Black stuff that's going around the country and the world. We cover the whole world of Blackness, not just Connecticut, not just New Haven. We Black everywhere. So we try to pull from our sister papers, our cousin papers, that kind of thing, because that's the connecting tissue for Black folks. And I get so many Black people who I picked up the inner city and I saw a story on Sacramento where I used to live, or you had a story running about what was happening in Austin, or I saw a story about something in Tuscaloosa, Mississippi, or Alabama, or you know what I mean? Like, so I get people who are like, I saw the paper and I picked up something that was unique to where I came from, or where I went to school, or my mom and them live, or my cousins are there, or I remember I was there, or something like that. And that is the point. That is the point. That we don't live in isolation. And for Black folks, it's just important to know what other Black folks are doing around the country, to inspire, to say to ourselves, "Oh no, we don't want to do that," or say to ourselves, "I like that, but we can make this work in New Haven if we do this," right? Like that's my thinking about when I curate content for the inner city, particularly if it's around issues, and most issues are what we're up against here in New Haven, So I like pulling that stuff from other places, especially around health, especially around development, and just what cool Black people are doing in other spaces, to inspire and to spur people on to do cool stuff here. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on here, believe it or not. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here. There's a lot of cool people doing a lot of cool stuff here. And that's the thing about this city, and I get so annoyed with people who are like, they want to be comparative. They want to compare New Haven to like New York. Oh, there's so much to do in New York. Duh. Duh. And I'm sure people in Madison be like, oh, there's so much to do in New Haven. I mean, it's all relative, right? So, but we don't need the comparison. We stand on our own merits. Like the other day, I was on the New Haven Independent site yesterday, and somebody was whining about, the traffic downtown for events. Like, well, that's where the events happen. And if you wasn't going to an event, then shut up. And you're only saying that because it affected you personally and directly. You didn't give a damn about other people, because if you did, you'd be like, oh, look at all these people trying to get to the theater, or, to the theaters, because there's a bunch of theaters in a 1 block radius, right? So what? And then there's restaurants. So people get downtown, they want to have a whole experience. They want to go eat, and then they want to walk across the street to the theater, or up the street to the theater. I dig that. That's a great date night. Or that's a great, I'm gonna hang with my girlfriends night. Or I want to go see this particular thing. I'm gonna get something to eat, something to drink, and then I'm gonna go on over to the theater. So don't get mad because there's vibrancy. And listen, when I'm in traffic, and I remember Doug Hoslodden said this, you're not in traffic, you are traffic. And ever since he said that, it just freaked me out. Ever since he said that, I was like, oh, I'm not in traffic. I am traffic. So anyway, it's just funny to me that people just go on and on and on and on and on and on about things. And people who do that, they're just not happy anyway. There's so many crotchety, unhappy people that just freaks me out at the level that they spend being unhappy and grouchy and take great pride in the grouchiness. Oh Lord, I don't get it. I'm at my best when I'm happy. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm at my absolute best when I'm happy. I dare say most people are, but they don't know how to stay in that space, And let me go so far as to say this, that the things that people are unhappy about are really not the things that they're unhappy about. It's always a masquerade for some other thing. That's what I believe. Now, listen, I am no psychoanalyst, psychotherapist. I'm no counselor. I'm no whatever. I'm just playing one on the radio. But for me, I just always think when people come out their bag about stuff, that is really not about that stuff. It's some other underlying issue that they refuse to sort of excavate and get to the heart of. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're beefing with somebody, you're not really beefing with them. I was watching this little segment on some old Facebook, TikTok. I think it was an excerpt. You know how people be filming stuff. I think it was a reenactment of some sort. Because I don't understand why you would have a camera on you all the time when you're having just regular conversations with people. So this was a stage, it was an acting thing. And I think it was from a show, because some of these shows I don't watch. Like I don't like these drama shows, these black drama shows. I don't watch those. I don't watch the Real Housewives or I just don't like that kind of stuff on my brain, because it's just tedious to me. Like, I'm like, why do you spend this time? In my mind, I don't watch any of these. I don't watch Tyler Perry's Sisters or the Oval Off. I don't like those shows. I remember I used to have a steady diet of that kind of stuff. I don't know, maybe 30 years ago when I was a young woman. But now I'm older. I don't really have the bandwidth for that kind of foolishness, that stuff. So anyway, this particular episode, and it was very personal. It hit personally. And when you see stuff like this, you can divine for yourself how this relates to you, right? So I'm watching this thing. So I guess this woman was in a relationship with this guy, but they weren't in a relationship. They had a child together. But he wasn't into her like that, but they slept together, they did stuff together, but he made it clear, I'm not into you or whatever. So they must have went somewhere together, and some chick came up and said, oh, I'm his girlfriend or whatever. And she got all bent out of shape and stormed off, and she was mad. And then he follows her back, and she had a key to his house, the whole nine. I mean, he had a key to her house, under the guise of, you're his father, you should be able to come and go. Or, I mean, and they were still sleeping together, kind of, whatever. But anyway, he's got this girlfriend. So she was upset, and I'm watching this play out, and he was telling her, I told you, we had a moment. We're no longer in that moment. I'm always love you as the mother of my son. We got to have a relationship. I said, but this is my girl. I'm seeing this. I'm in a relationship with this. And this woman was so incensed. And I knew in that moment, I was like, I understand that. I get it. Because that was just me like a year ago. I was in that same kind of thing, Not quite that. Not quite that. But I could see how I was ready to get out of something, and I couldn't get out of it. Or it was nice to stay in it for too long. That's what I want to say. That it was nice to stay in it for too long when it really should have been cut down, 2 or 3 years prior. So I'm saying all that to say is that we're not mad at other people. We're mad at ourselves when we are in situations and we feel like we didn't pay attention, or we allowed this to happen and we did not get ourselves out of it for whatever reason. And I could clearly see this woman was just mad. She was mad at herself for just spending the time going through through this challenge. And I think, so rather than deal with I think my point is this. We spend a lot of time not getting to the truth of things and staying stuck on what we imagine is the issue. What we imagine is the issue, rather than what the real issue is, And sometimes, and most times, the real issue is your own insecurities and your own not walking in truth about who this person is and what you are to them and who you are to yourself, And I think people are in comfortable relationships because they don't know how to be in relationship with themselves. And so they're always looking for somebody else to bring them something that they themselves think they do not possess in and of by themselves, And I pay attention to people in relationships. I know women who still won't go to a restaurant and have dinner by themselves, or go to a bar or anything by themselves, and that somehow or other being in relationship to somebody, it gives them a sense of belonging that they and above themselves don't see without being attached to somebody. And I don't say to say relationships or marriages or anything is bad. I liked being married. I like being in a relationship. I mean, I like where I'm at right now. I can't even imagine. But I'm always in relationship with people. So it's not even like I'm not in a relationship. I'm in a relationship with all kinds of people, which suits me. I'm not of that, oh, there's a special someone. All my friends are special to me. They are. There's nobody more special than them. There's nobody more special than me. Like I just like where I'm at. I like it. And I just want people to spend a little more time doing that reflective work of, well, what do you think you need? Because I think when you figure out what you think you need in your life, then you could give it to yourself, you know? And a lot of the people's issues, because people will always go back to, oh, I didn't have a father, or I didn't have a mother, I didn't have whatever. You know, it's always that refrain, right? Whatever it is, the lack is. Whatever the lack is, they hold on to it very fiercely. And I say this to my kids all the time, ad nauseum, and I know they're sick of it. Because, they like to just, throw stuff out there because they think it's going to hurt or something. And, well, you don't do this, I said, well, whatever you think you didn't get, go give it to yourself now. And then they have to think about this. They have to stop and think, and they get annoyed. Because what I'm not going to do, and I'm not going to allow them to do, is heap some imaginary guilt on me for something that they thought I should have done for them, when I've done everything that I know to do for them, and that's it. So whatever you didn't get from me, your father, your community, go give it to yourself now. If I wasn't the kind of mother that you wanted, then mother yourself up the way that you wanted to be mothered. Do it right now. And then throw in some therapy so that you can frame that out for yourself. I swear to God, I say that all the time to them when they get all cloudy and whatever, and they start that, well, you do for so and so and you don't do for me. All right, well, you know what? You go do for yourself what you didn't get. Go give yourself what you didn't get. You need what you need. Go give it to yourself right now. And then they got to think about that. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, you got to go find out. Go, I tell them, you know what? Start with a journal. Start writing down every day how you feel. Or if you're mad, say why you're mad. If you're happy, say why you're happy. And then don't forget to log in all the things that you're grateful for. What are you grateful for? You spend a lot of time talking about what you lack. What are you grateful for? And this is the work that I've done 30, 40 years ago. That's why I'm in the way that I am. That's why I'm not sweating nothing. That's why I'm pretty happy in my damn life. And I want them to be happy. But they think that something outside of themselves is the thing. They think something outside of themselves, whether it's relocation or a particular job or a particular size or a particular man or woman or a particular, piece of pie, is just going to bring them some happiness. No. And I don't just say it to my kids. I say it to anybody who is lamenting, and it's like my own little permission slip to people. When they go on about whatever they lack, and it's a lack story. It's a story of lack, and it's the lesser story, because they can't fathom the bigger story, and everybody thinks it's hard to envision a better life for themselves. If you could dream, you could imagine a bigger life for yourself, whatever that is. And I don't mean like material stuff. I mean, I can have my first car was a Mercedes. What is that? I believed in all the trappings too. I used to believe in that mess too. I don't now, because first of all, I'm older. And when you have lost things, you realize if you've lost things and you're still standing, then you realize it never was those things. It was the best times I've ever had was not because I had a nice car or a nice house. It was never that. It was whatever was happening in that house or where I was driving that car to. Those were the things that had value and made memory. I don't know anybody who was like, oh, I loved the staircase in my house so much that I can't imagine another staircase. I don't think people are attached to things like that. I think what people will say is, I remember the stairway in my house because all the holiday pictures we used to take on it, or prom. I took my prom pictures coming down the stairs in my house, or so and so got married in our house. It's those things. It's the memories of. It's not the actual physical things. So I always just tell people, particularly when I sit with them and they start the story of, whatever. And sometimes you have to know when people are just talking and lamenting and when they really need a kind word or whatever. So you listen to people and you let them lament, and you really hear them. I take great joy in bearing witness with people. I find that quite comforting because I know what it's like to have been so alone in the world that you just want to die. And I never want anybody else to feel that way in my presence. And I think that's why, as Ife says, everybody thinks they're your friend. and everybody says that too. Everybody believes. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, because I never want anybody to be in my presence and not be seen or heard and paid attention to. And that brings me a great deal of joy. It gives me a great deal of joy to be able to stand or sit or be in community with people and really hear them and see them and enjoy their company. Now, I mean, I think there are people who I don't even like who don't even know I don't like them. Because you can like people and not want to destroy them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't have no desire to destroy anybody. There's people who I don't like, but I don't want harm to come to them. And I don't want to be in the way or stand in the way of their progress. I'm not that kind of person. First of all, I don't have the energy for that. That takes a lot of energy to be plotting against people, and because I just have a little bit of time left on the planet. I want to do all the things that make me happy. That doesn't make me happy to be thinking about how I could shut somebody else down, how I could stomp on somebody. Like, what? Who has time for that? When all this good bars in the world and good restaurants in the world and good shows in the world and good places to go and beaches, I'd rather spend my time doing that. So for me, it is my great honor and joy and privilege to just be with people in real meaningful ways. To listen to them, to look them in the eye, to notice them. Do you know what I mean? And to hear them and to listen to them. And people think that's exhausting. It really isn't to see people, and to just listen and don't be talking, because people talk a lot. I talk a lot because I'm on radio, but when I'm with people, I usually let people do the talking. I talk very little actually when I'm with people. And I'm telling them my secrets. I talk very little when I'm out there in the world, but I like a good conversation. I always have. Even when I was a little kid, I loved a good conversation. And I think it's because I don't think this is a word you hear so much. I'm very curious. I'm a very curious person of how people move through in and throughout their lives and in the world. I'm very curious about how people do the things that they do and go where they go and say what they say. I'm curious about that. And I don't know, I don't ever want to be not curious. I think I'll be in the nursing home curious about people and their lives and their stories. I think I'm that person. I'm curious. I'm very curious about people. So yeah. So yeah, that's my thing. I never want anybody to feel like they're not seen or heard in my presence, because I know what it's like to be all alone in the world and to feel like you want to die and too afraid to tell anybody that you want to die and too afraid to tell somebody that it hurts, that you hurt, because you don't even know how to explain the hurt. You don't even know what's hurting. You just know that there's this overwhelming sense of despair, you know, that and it's like I used to say, it's like falling backwards with nothing to grab onto. I know that feeling well. Now, it's been a long time since I've had that feeling of despair and hopelessness. And I just made a point that I would just change my mind about how I moved about the world and who I wanted to be in the world. And I think it was just after coming out of Danbury federal prison camp that really made me think about who I wanted to be in the world moving forward. Because at that particular time, I had to really reinvent myself, and whatever was on my heart and mind, I had to repair. You know, I had to repair that, and so I spent the next decade working on repairing myself, repairing. That's the only thing I could say. Repairing myself from top to bottom, from how I thought about things to how I reacted to things, to what I read, to what I listened to. Like I had to repair some things and notice when be deliberate and intentional about noticing myself in the moment at any turn. And that was the beginning of repairing myself and setting a different course for my life. You know, with great attention and great and a great zest for living. That's really what it was, and still is. And that's why I'm the happiest I've ever been in my whole life. I do the kind of work that I'm so blessed to get to be on this radio and have this platform. I love it. And I love curating content for the inner city, because to me that's necessary work. It's just necessary work. I feel blessed that I get to, you know, I live in a great apartment, although it looks like a you know, dorm storage room, but I've ordered paint. I'm going to have people over, we're gonna paint and we're gonna do stuff, we're gonna get organized, we get the Virgos in here and they're gonna do their Virgo thing. But I have ordered my life in such a way so that I am really living from a place of great abundance. And abundance doesn't mean things. It doesn't, you know, I mean, Newhaltville is one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. But the vibrancy here is unmatched. The vibrancy is unmatched. You know, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And there are apartments that I wanted in the city that they wouldn't give to me. And you know, no one wants to take a risk on somebody who is a felon and has a poor credit score. I'm not mad at them. People who knew me, I was like, no. But that's all right, because I landed where I'm supposed to be landed. I landed where I'm supposed to be landed. And I have this amazing existence. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So, So I'll be back. I'm coming back with guess who I'm talking to? I am not familiar with One New England Orchestra. But they are coming on James Sinclair. He is the maestro, Orchestra New England, a New Haven-based orchestra that is celebrating its 50th season. So they'll be back. They'll be on at 10:15. He'll be on to 15. So they've got some big event to celebrate, and I want to talk to them about it. They reached out to me, which was really, really cool, because I did not know of them. So I'm big on the symphony scene. I'll be back.
When can my heart beat again? When does the pain never end? And when do the tears stop from running over? When does you get over it begin? I hear what you're saying, but I swear that it's not making sense. So when